What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Pitching Ninja's Filthiest Pitches of the Day. I am Pitching Ninja and I'm here with Will Leahey. What's happening, Will?
Ninja, I'm happy today because we have a good knuckleballer in the league. Matt Waldron yesterday, the knuckler from San Diego, threw the best game of his career. He had, I think, what was it, 8 Ks in 7 innings, no walks, 6 hits. And we haven't had a consistent knuckleballer basically since R.A. Dickey and maybe Wakefield. I know you like to see this, Ninja. What'd you think of his start yesterday?
I mean, I love it. Number one, knuckleball is always fun to watch, but I've seen him improve start by start. Like, remember I said, I guess a couple of videos ago for his starts at least, that I thought he was starting to pick up strikeouts, and it's looking that way. Like he's figured out the right mix of knuckleball and fastball and his other pitches to make it filthy. And the thing about a knuckleball is a lot of times you're at the mercy of the elements. And the reason why a knuckleball moves the way it does is because of lack of spin. Number one, think of a top. If a top's not spinning really fast, what does it do? It's a little more unpredictable. If it's spinning really fast, it's very predictable. Like, that's why pitches move, is because of the fast spin rate. But when it's spinning slow, you never know the seam orientation as it's going through the air. So the wind as it's coming in may hit a seam as the ball turns a tiny bit. And that just makes the ball move in unpredictable ways, as well as just it's more susceptible to even things like wind and different air pressures as well. But it's usually because the seam just hits the wind a certain way and causing it to break. I think he had one yesterday that broke up to 22 inches. And that's all just due to pressure around the seams.
Well, you mentioned Ninja too, him showing steady improvement. It's great because these guys, a lot of times it takes a while to perfect it, and then you can throw it for 20 years afterwards. So hopefully he just keeps getting better and better, and eventually wins a Cy Young like R.A. Dickey.
Well, the thing about him, he also throws 90s. I think he's been up to around 95. So it's not just a knuckleball guy. Like, he actually can throw other pitches. It's just his knuckleball is unhittable, and yesterday was an example of that. We're going to start with our whip around the league. I'm going to start out with Kyle Gibson, who had 6 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 1 run on 2 hits. Led the Cards to a 7-1 victory over the Reds and took a no-hitter pretty deep into this game. He had a nasty cutter, curveball, and sweeper. And he outdueled Andrew Abbott, who was yesterday, with 3 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 6 runs and had sweepers and picked up a sword. Mitch Spence pitched really well yesterday as the A's blanked the Rays 3-0. He had 4 Ks and 5 1/3 scoreless innings, giving up only 1 hit. He took a no-hitter into the 6th inning. He had these sliders, including this one that got the little bonk on the catcher's head on the follow-through. Ouch. And this curveball. He faced Zach Littell, who was also really good yesterday. Littell had 9 Ks in 7 innings, giving up no earned runs. His ERA now is 3.03. And his painted fastball and this slider, and also had these wicked splitters. Look at these things. These are almost like glorified knuckleballs. The spin rate on these things average under 800 RPMs. Nasty stuff. In a kind of non-pitchers duel, the Red Sox beat the Orioles 8-3 behind Brian Bayo's 7 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 3 earned runs. He had these sinkers and changeups that got the bend the knee. And I say this is a pitching duel, non-pitcher duel, pitcher duel, because both of these guys look pretty good. I mean, Grayson Rodriguez, who faced Bayo, had 10 strikeouts in 6 innings, giving up 4 runs. Those 10 strikeouts were a career high. He had these upper 90s fastballs, these sliders, and wicked changeups. And again, stuff looked good. The results, he gave up runs, but I look at stuff, and both of these guys look to be thrown pretty well. Speaking of throwing well and having a career high in strikeouts, Jake Irvin had 10 Ks in 6 scoreless innings, giving up only 2 hits. He had these fastballs, but the story of the game for me was his curveball. I'd always liked his curveball. I've said this many times, and when his curveball's on, he can be really good. He had these curveballs and picked up an Expelliarmus curveball. And you would think with 6 scoreless innings and 10 Ks, the Nats would win, but they didn't. They lost to the Braves 2-0 because Max Fried was also outstanding. Max Fried had 6 Ks in 8 scoreless innings. His ERA now is under 3, 2.97. The way he started out this season, you thought it was going to be maybe towards the end of the year that this would happen, but he's there already. He had this fastball that cut to the back door. He had this inside two-seamer, this nasty slider, as well as these beautiful curveballs. And we all know I love Max Fried's curveball, and these were beautiful. The Blue Jays beat the White Sox 7-2 behind Kevin Gausman and his 3 Ks in 6 innings, giving up only 1 run. Not a lot of Ks for Gausman, but he did have these splitters and picked up a sword. The Guardians beat the Rockies 13-7. The pitching was rotten in terms of run prevention. We're not going to dwell on any of this. But Tristan McKenzie did have a couple of nice curveballs and picked up 9 Ks. Just gave up a bunch of runs too. Nate Eovaldi had 2 Ks in 3 innings, giving up 2 runs. And I think he functioned mostly as an opener here. I think the plan was always for Andrew Heaney to piggyback off him. That's why he didn't go deep into this game. But pitched deep enough for the Rangers to beat the D-backs 4-2. He outdueled Brandon Pfaadt, who had 5 Ks in 7 innings, giving up 4 runs, and Pfaadt had this painted two-seamer and the sweeper. The Angels beat the Yankees 4-3 in a duel between Griffin Canning and Nestor Cortez. Nestor had 4 Ks in 5 1/3 innings, giving up 2 runs. Nothing special from Nestor, no dancing or anything really cool.
Give the people what they want, Nestor. We're not here to watch you pitch, man. We're here to watch you shake that thing.
Nestor faced Griffin Canning, who had 5 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 3 runs, and had this front door two-seamer. Hunter Brown looked really good yesterday. You remember that outing he had? It was one of the worst outings of all time. This outing was a really good outing. He went 6 innings with 9 Ks.
Nice.
Giving up only 1 run and had these sliders and splitters. He faced Luis Castillo, who had 6 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 2 runs. Castillo was good enough to keep the Mariners in the game. They actually won this game 4-2, and he had these electric fastballs. Cole Reagans had an average outing for him, a really good outing for normal pitchers. He had 7 strikeouts in 5 innings, giving up 3 runs. Had these fastballs in the upper 90s and wicked changeup. He faced Simeon Woods Richardson, who had 4 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 2 runs, and had these painted fastballs as the Twins beat the Royals 4-2. Gavin Stone was really good yesterday with 7 strikeouts and 7 scoreless innings. His ERA right now is 3.16 as the Dodgers shut out the Mets 3-0. I've been on Gavin Stone ever since he was a minor leaguer, and I know he struggled at first coming up to the big leagues, but this is what Gavin Stone is right now. He had his mid-90s fastball, these wicked sliders, and picked up a White Castle special. And actually, his slider was better than I thought it had been. Because mostly when you think of Gavin Stone, you think of changeups. This changeup was really good too. It's great to see Gavin Stone pitching so well. He outdueled Jose Quintana, who had 3 Ks in 6 innings and had this changeup.
Yeah, Ninja, I was at this game. I was at both games, a doubleheader, and the Mets just stink. There's really nothing else to say. They blew it behind Megill in the first game, and the second game was just an abomination after the heart rip of the first game.
You're stealing my thunder here, Will, because my next game here is the battle of the Tylor versus Tylor. The winner of this game should make it the official spelling of Tylor, right? There has to be something more at stake here. Tylor Megill had 9 Ks in 7 scoreless innings, giving up 3 hits. And this heater, this dead zone cutter, which was beautiful. I call it a dead zone cutter because it's in the dead zone, a left-handed hitter's swing. He also had this slider for a sword, but the pitch of the game for me was his American spork. Yep, the pitch he learned from Kodai Senga. Look at this one that he gets Ohtani on. Nasty stuff. You think with Tylor Megill's dominant stuff, the Mets would win? Well, Will, did the Mets win?
No, they blew it hard in extra innings.
They blew it in part, though, because Tyler Glasnow was pretty solid yesterday. Not his best, I didn't think, but better than his previous effort. He had 8 Ks in 7 innings, giving up 2 runs. He had these fastballs, including this one that was inadvertently painted. He had these sliders, but left this slider kind of middle, and let out an F-bomb. Tyler is about to be suspended by his mom for 10 games.
I saw too. My mom texted me like, "You gotta stop cussing on TV. Like, cover your mouth or something."
Or at least maybe be on the IL with a red ass from spanking or something. You think he still gets spanked?
Probably not by his mom, but somebody's spanking him.
He also had this hammer curveball, as Tyler Glasnow is known to have. Zack Wheeler threw 6 innings of scoreless baseball with 9 Ks.
Nice.
But despite Wheeler's great effort, the Phillies lost to the Giants 1-0, but not because of Zack Wheeler. Zack Wheeler was outstanding. He lowered his ERA to 2.32 and is the current favorite for the NL Cy Young Award, ahead of Sho Imanaga and Chris Sale. He had this two-seamer that had 22 inches of arm side run, and this isn't even counting the run that Real Muto had to do to go get this ball because he couldn't catch it because the pitch was so damn nasty. He also had this splitter and sweeper. And he faced Eric Miller, the opener. He had 2 Ks in 1 scoreless inning thanks to his 98-mile-an-hour heater and this changeup. Matt Waldron had 8 Ks in 7 scoreless innings. And I'm going to forget about any of his other pitches. We're talking knuckleballs because every single one of his strikeouts this game, all 8 of them, run knuckleballs. His knuckleballs had as little as 77 RPMs, which means it was basically a fraction of a rotation on the way to home plate. Don't forget RPMs, revolutions per minute, not revolutions per second. So you have to multiply it out. Anyway, check these things out. They're absolutely beautiful. Totally unhittable. He had 11 whiffs on his knuckleball. These things were just disgusting all game. The Padres shut out the Marlins 4-0, and Waldron outdueled Jesus Luzardo, the Jesus Lizard, who had 4 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 3 runs, and had this changeup and slider. In the pitching matchup of the day, we had Freddie Peralta versus Ben Brown. Freddie Peralta had 11 strikeouts in 5 2/3 innings, giving up only 1 run. Fastball Freddie dominated with his heaters, as well as threw in a couple of sliders just to keep people honest. But these fastballs were just blowing hitters away. Yet Ben Brown pretty much outdueled him. Ben Brown had 10 strikeouts in 7 no-hit innings, and the Cubs ended up winning 6-3 in extra innings. Ben Brown is a 2-pitch pitcher, and both of these pitches are plus pitches. He had his upper 90s fastballs up to 98 miles an hour, and these absolute hammer knuckle curves. Look at these things over and over and over again. He had 10 whiffs on his knuckle curve and has over a 50% whiff rate on that pitch this season. Opponents are only hitting 138 against his knuckle curve. And to save Ben Brown's no-hit bid, look at this catch by Bellinger. Fantastic effort. Love it. Now one of my filthiest relievers, Brendan Bernardino, had 4 Ks in 2 innings of relief, thanks to his sinker and curveball. Don't look now, but Bernardino's ERA is 0.78, one of the more effective relievers in baseball. Yohan Duran had this 101-mile-an-hour heater. Raisel Iglesias had this slider and changeup. Griffin Jax had this fastball and curveball. Mark Leiter Jr. had this filthy splitter. David Robertson had this nasty cutter and knuckle curve. Kirby Yates had this filthy splitter, and his ERA is now 0.9. And Mason Miller had this 101-mile-an-hour fastball, and this fastball that was 103 miles an hour, but I'm not going to talk about any of that because I think Mason Miller is experimenting with a splinker. Check this out. You can see in the release, his fingers are a little spread. The announcer said, yep, this doesn't look like a normal 4-seamer, and it wasn't. It has a lot more drop than his typical 4-seam fastball. And if you go back to my interview with Mason Miller, I thought he was kidding.
I mean, I saw his splinker. I've seen Duran's splinker. It's like, hey, I should try and throw that.
It's not really fair, though. Yet he took it as homework and went back, and my man looks like he's developing a splinker, which means it's all over for Major League Baseball. It was all over before he did this. What is this? This isn't fair, dude. Stop it. Stop it already. My top 5 filthiest pitches of the day yesterday. At number 5, we have Tylor Megill's American Spork to Ohtani. At number 4, we have Zack Wheeler's unhittable and uncatchable sinker that ran 22 inches. At number 3, we have got to talk about Jeremiah Estrada. Jeremiah Estrada picked up his 11th, his 12th, and his 13th consecutive strikeout. Yep, he now has struck out 13 consecutive hitters, which is the all-time record as far as we can go back. We don't have records of play-by-play stuff. Suffice it to say, I don't think anybody's ever struck out 13 hitters in a row. He also throws this pitch that looks like a splitter, but he calls it a chitter, which is a changeup splitter mix. I think since it's a sharp and hard splitter, he should call it a shitter.
Agreed, Ninja.
At number 2, we have Ben Brown's Knuckle Curse, which was filthy. And at number 1, was there any doubt? Matt Waldron and his dominating knuckleballs. And now, my pitching ninja moment of Zen. I think this fan has an eating disorder.
No, he is not.
That's a decent look.
My picks of the day today are a 4-leg same game parlay plus. I'm going to start out with a same game parlay of Jared Jones for 6Ks or more and Tarek Skubal for 7Ks or more. And I'm going to take Luis Heel for 7Ks or more and top it off with Paul Skeens for 7Ks or more. What would your picks of the day be?